Hey guys, so welcome back to another track tutorial, finally. In this tutorial I'll be doing like track decorations and just generally, track decorations. So on this track here, I've put some scenery down, pit building, some parking, fences, and so this might be split up into more than one part because I don't feel like I can fit it into one part. Maybe I can, but I feel like that's being optimistic. But yeah, so I've got the track over here. This is what it was before. From what I'll delete this actually. We'll just keep that. Okay, so this is what we have done before from previous tutorials. We have done the lines and the curbs, very basically. And so pretty much I'll just be starting on doing some scenery, I guess. So in this sort of part of the tutorial, I was thinking maybe we could start on let's go for barriers. Yeah, barriers will be quite easy. I'm sure you guys will get this. This will be pretty easy. Haven't really fully planned out this episode, just sort of, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to use my track asset pack. If you guys haven't got this, I'll probably put a link in the description. But it's just got a bunch of stuff like some barriers, and it's quite useful. Okay, so just want to put that there. Well, you can. These are quite big, so I might just quickly scale these down. Okay, so now I've got these scaled down. I'm just going to paste these around, so have that one lined up with the start finish line. Or actually, I will. Yeah. So Archimedes is what I use for this. Hang on. Okay, so usually in racetracks, they have these catch fences for anywhere where like crowds need protection or something, but generally on racetracks you see these, which is without the catch fence. So I'll put this down here because I'm planning to have some spectator areas on the outside, not the inside of the track. So I just use Archimedes to make barriers, and then for a section like this I'll loop it back around. Yeah, and then I'm sure you've already picked up what I'm doing here. It's just with Archimedes, like how I make the tracks. Just going around with the barrier, making sure it's in all the right places. And I'll just speed this up so I don't drag on. Okay, so now I've got the inside barrier. I'll just literally do the exact same thing, but with the outside barrier. But because I'm planning to have some areas for the crowd and such on the outside, I will put these ones with the catch fences down. Okay, so here you could cut this track. I know it's a really tiny track, but you can cut this track, and so I'm going to put a barrier down the middle here, just to prevent that, because people can be idiots. Okay, so that's the barriers sorted. Now, another thing I would do to add extra detail to the barriers is make little cutouts for things like marshal posts. Now, the thing with these is that you don't want them facing the way the cars are going. It's hard to explain, but say if I'm driving a car down here, you don't want the opening to be like this, because if you're driving a car and you're going down here, you come off wide or something, you're going to get stuck or go behind them. So you want to make them opening like this, so you can have little marshal openings like that. And yeah, I'm explaining that poorly, but pretty much you want the barrier to still... I'm explaining this really poorly, I'll just show you guys what I actually mean. So, where can I do one? Okay, let's say I'm going to do one here. I'm going to delete that and that. I'll do a little thing going in there. Okay, so I got a little opening there. And then what I'll also do, I'll get a scale. I'll just get a car, any car. I don't know why I'm being picky here, I just need to choose a car. Right, let's choose this lovely looking Porsche. Okay, so yeah, that fits. And then what I'll also do is I'll have an escape road. So there's an actual road to it, like in real life. Okay. So if I'm not being as talkative, I'm focusing. Yeah. Okay, so got a little escape road now. Now another thing I do like to do, I kinda can't really do it here, but I do often like to have a little network of roads going around. So like say if I had another opening here, I'd have a little network of roads going around back to the paddock or the pit area. I can't really do it there, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. I'll also, just while I'm quickly doing this, in my track asset pack, I've also gotten a marshal post. And these are quite good just to dot around the track. Add some extra detail. Put that there. Yeah, there's not really many places to put them on this track. I'll actually make another little opening over here. So what I'll do on this one, because there's the thing, I'm going to remove that, and then we'll have an opening come in here. Now this is something everybody can pretty much do, and it just adds extra detail to the track. I know some people aren't fussed on detail, but I think that's what makes it a good track, because you can have a pretty bad layout, but you can have good detail, and it kind of makes the track cough cough. Okay, so I got another little runoff there. Again, like road networks are pretty good. So actually I can make one on this one. So you want to use a bigger angle on this. So say for the actual track I was using an angle of 5, but on here you can use an angle of 10. That's because it's background scenery, so you don't want it to be super detailed, you just want it to resemble something. So you can use bigger angles on this, which gives you less parts and consequently less lag. So just quickly, I'll loop this around so it goes around the entire thing. Okay, so now I've got that little path going around. So now I've got that little path going around. I suppose what I'll do now is I'll make gravel traps actually. So gravel traps are quite simple. They're not difficult, but they can be a bit of a pain. So let's say I'm gonna make one. Where should I make one? I'll make one here because it'll demonstrate how to make them curved and stuff. So they're quite simple to do, and you can make them quite lazily. You don't need to have like loads of precision. So what I do is get a part. You don't have to duplicate anything. Just have to get a part. Make sure it covers the entire area that you want to cover. So I'll go from up at that corner there, and I'll start it down here. And then you want to colour it in sand. Where's sand? There. And then sand colour, obviously. That's good enough. And then what you want to do is you want to make it pretty much, you cut it out and use unions to cut them out. So again, we'll get another part, and then we'll just rotate it so it runs along the barrier pretty much. There we go. I like to have them quite big, like a gap between the barrier. I know some people might not like this, but oh well, that's how I do it. And obviously you want it to cover the entire thing, because unions can be really useful when making stuff. So you'll understand sort of the concept of union after this, but pretty much just run around the track with this and try and keep the gap consistent, but it doesn't have to be accurate. Nobody will notice. So I'm trying to keep, just to say that again, I'm trying to keep the gap from the barrier to the edge of this block here the same. It may not make sense right now, but you'll definitely understand why in a second. So just run around the trap. Again, doesn't have to be accurate, just has to resemble it. I might cut it a bit shorter towards the end. Okay, so that's the outside, and we got to do the same for the inside. Okay, so again, this bit of the sand isn't covered up. Actually, to demonstrate, I'm going all over the place, but to make this demonstration a bit easier, I'll colour these something else so it's not the same colour. I'll colour it some black concrete or something. Okay, so the sand here, there's a little bit poking out here, so you want to extend this, the blocks you've just been placing down, just to cover that up, so it leaves nothing around the outside. And now what you want to do is you want to do the same as you did around the barrier, but you want to do it on the inside of the track. So let's say we'll start here. Okay, we'll start here then. Actually, we'll bring that to a point. No, we won't do that. Okay, hang on. Just to give this a nicer finish, I'm going to curve this around. There we go. Just going to curve that around. Okay, so now we've got this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same, but do it around the track this time instead of around the barrier. So just following the track around. And ignore this texture flickering as well. That's just because they're overlapping, but we'll fix that in a quick second. Okay, so due to the nature of this track, we've got the pit lane here. So I'm going to cut it off here. You could go into the corner if you wanted, but I'm not. Okay, so that will be... Okay, so as you can see, there's this sand over here. We obviously don't want the sand here. So what we'll do is we'll get another block and we'll just cover it all up. There we go. So you can just cover all that up. Now what you've got to do is just have these two open. Okay, so you only want the sand you can see is only the sand where you want the gravel trap to be. So now select all of the blocks that you've used Archimedes with. So for me, I've gotten them all in black concrete and select all of those. And use shift and click just to highlight them. And if you want to unselect something, just shift and click on the item you selected. Okay, so now you've got all of those. You've got to go to model in the top here, and then you want to click negate up here, and that should make all the parts transparent. And now with all of those still selected, you want to shift click onto the sand and then click the union button next to the negate button. And I don't know why it's done that. I think I've selected something I shouldn't have. Hang on a second. Okay, you shouldn't have this issue. Ignore that. Nothing happened. Okay. So select all the transparent parts, or the negated parts, or negative parts, whatever you want to call them. And then we can do that again. Okay, so now you've selected all the negative parts. You want to select the sand trap and then click the union button, and then it creates your sand trap for you. That's pretty much it actually. Well, yeah, that is it. Obviously make sure it's anchored, but that's how to make sand traps. You can copy that around wherever you want in the track. I'm only just going to have one there. But that's it. And then, okay, so now we'll move on to the terrain, I guess. So terrain is actually really simple. It's probably the easiest part of making a track. There really isn't much to it. So just get a part, scale it up so it's quite big. You just want to have it about this big, about this far away from the track. Okay, so you want to have a nice big block of grass, whatever material, and then have it a little bit away from the track like this, just a big block. And then you want to go into Archimedes, and then we want to go around the track with this block. There we go. You just want to, again, loosely follow the track. Doesn't have to be precise at all. Terrain looks more natural if it's not very precise, so just going to run around the track. I'm going to stop there because I'll leave the pits, because I don't really know what I'm going to do there yet. Yeah. Actually, we'll go around here. Okay, so try and go around everything. Don't try and overlap anything, and make sure you keep a gap. You don't want to go really close to something, because the next stage requires you to have this gap, unless you want to cover stuff up. So we'll keep like that. We'll connect these two. Okay. So now you've got this brick wall or grass wall going around the outside. Just want to highlight all of them. Make sure you turn off Archimedes. And just shift click all of them. There's probably a quicker way of doing this. So if you have a quicker way of doing this, just let me know. Because honestly, no clue. Okay, so now you've got all that selected, then you want to go back over to Archimedes, and you want to find the one where they go like this, where it sort of gives them this sort of look. You want to invert them so it goes inside. You want to do an angle of, let's say 40. Does that work? Yeah, so we'll go 40, render once, and then it's just created a wall for us, but it's now sloped so it looks a bit more like actual terrain. So to any curves going inside, they should be absolutely fine. There's no issues with gaps or anything here. But to ones that do go like this, all you have to do is just get the plugin called Gap Fill, and just click on one edge and then the other, and it fills them up. I'll leave all the links to all the plugins and stuff in the description, so you should be able to find them and stuff. And just click around all the edges. I know that gap fill can be really useful, but sometimes it might not always work. I don't know why, but there are some weird circumstances where it just doesn't work. So beware of that, but it should work. I can't imagine it wouldn't. It should work, I can't imagine it wouldn't. And then now we're going to do the big hills, like over here. So for that, again, I just use a plugin. This one's called Triangle Draw. Again, I'll leave a link in the description to this. But this is really useful, where you can literally just draw triangles, and it's super useful for terrain. So, where is it? Yeah. So the way you work this plugin is you click on one point, and then you click on another, and then you click on another, and it draws a triangle. Simple enough. There's a trick to using terrain, where if you hold right click, it moves it to just in front of you, and you can look around and place it in the air, because otherwise you can only place it on the ground or on solid objects. But if you hold right click, you can place it in the air and such, without like an object. So I'll place 1 point in there, 1 point in there, and I'll do the final one here. And then, as you can see, that's created a big old triangle. And then the corners of the triangle should have a snap to grid. So if I hold my mouse over them, it automatically wants to put it there. So click again, move it over here. I'll go over here, and then I'll just keep doing this. Now, usually how I do it is I do 2 layers. I do one that's a bit steeper, which is the initial layer, and then let me go over and demonstrate it. So I do one layer that's a bit steeper, and then I do one that's a bit flatter, and this just helps generally from like the viewpoint of down here. It looks like there's more depth to it, but that's how I do it. There are different methods obviously, but that's just how I do it. So bigger triangles as well. Try not to use small triangles because it can get super laggy super quickly. So we'll just place all of these down. Don't make them a sheer cliff face. Try to give them some angle. Sometimes that's quite difficult, but that pretty much just makes it, well, visually more appealing, and also we're not building the White Cliffs of Dover, we're building a racetrack. Okay. So I'll just speed this up, so it's going to be much quicker. Okay, so now we've got this first layer of triangles. It's that's the first layer. So now what I'll do is I'll go back to the top of one of them, and then I'll go, instead of going as steep, I'll just go a bit flatter, like that, and then again just repeat the process. Make it flatter, adds more depth, and yeah, I'll speed it up again. I won't let you guys sit through this. This is boring. Okay, so now we've finished the second layer, we can go into select mode in the thing, and all you want to do is just highlight and then change the material to grass, and then the color, and then that should color them. And just go around the track, try not to select any of the track parts, and just keep clicking on them and changing it. You only want to try and select the actual terrain, because if we select, say, this, we'll then colour everything like that to grass, which is not ideal and not what we want. So just highlight only the track parts. Oh. Yeah, so that is the terrain now finished. So now I suppose what we'll move on to are trees, I guess. So trees, I have some generic trees that I've used for a while now. Again, I'll leave the links in the description to some tree decals that I've just grabbed off of Google and uploaded. But pretty much, or actually I'll put them into like a model pack so you can just use them or whatever. But trees, super simple to place. I place them by hand. I know there are probably quicker methods out there again. I think you can use like model placers or something, but whenever I've downloaded them they've got viruses in them, so I just place them by hand. This helps by it isn't a big track, so it will be easier. But pretty much, Control D is your big friend here. So Control D is duplicating. So say there's only one thing here at the moment, I press Control D, and then now I've got two. Unlike Control C and V or copy paste, it like duplicates it in its exact location. So with control copy, like English copy paste, it puts it on top of it, but control D can sometimes be easier. So say like I want to keep the level of this thing on the ground. If I press control C and V, it's going to put it up, and I've got to put it back down. But if I just press control D, it's already at that level. So if you see me doing that, I'm not a wizard, it's just control D. It saves a lot of time, and it's probably one of the most useful things or one of the most useful shortcuts you'll ever have. So let's get back to placing trees here. So you want to use the Roblox mechanics to your advantage here, so you don't have to use the rotate tool. So with these blocks that you've placed down around the outside, if you have the select icon and you drag the tree around, it will automatically rotate it to the track orientation. If it does this, just press R and then R, yep, and then it should just rotate it. But you want to use this to your advantage, these blocks, because it will automatically give you the best rotation and it saves you a lot of time. So let's start placing trees. So I'll use the select tool, and I'll just, not select tool, the move tool, and I'll just move them up and side to side and down. You want to have the trunk resting on the ground, obviously, and then make sure you vary up what style of trees you put in, because it can look very boring and lazy if you just have the same tree put in over and over and over. So I'll put and also you want it, if you have a tree that's facing like this, it's kind of useless, because say I'm coming around here, the track here, that tree to me is flat, so you want it to face the track and it's as big as it can be, if that makes sense. So I'm coming around here, that looks like a tree, not a flat image. So I'll put this tree down as well. These are on a bit of a cliff face, not ideal. We'll put another one down over here. Again, you don't want to overpopulate the entirety of the hills just with this. You want it to be somewhat sparse, however you say it. You don't want it to flood the entire hill. You just want it to be enough that it's scenery. So again, I'll put some here. And I think you guys get the point, so I'll speed this up so I can get this finished. Okay, so that should be about finished. Yeah, so you can put more trees if you want. I kind of did them a bit too few and far between. But another bit of detail you can add to the terrain. So over here, it's a bit dark, so it's very sheer face. So what you can do is you can highlight this triangle and this triangle, and material. Is it slate? Yeah, you can make it slate. You can give it a concrete look. I think it can look quite nice in some situations if it's a really sheer cliff face. Add some more detail. And yeah. Yes, so that's about it in this recording. Next recording, I'm going to be doing the pits and how to make pit buildings. So, should be pretty decent. But yeah, thanks for watching part 3 of the track tutorial, but part 1 of the detail tutorial. I hope you enjoyed.